Hey y'all. Hey everybody. Welcome. Welcome back. It's day number 10. Love Dare Challenge. We out here in these streets. Got a little worship going on. Trying to get myself encouraged in the Lord. Why do I need to encourage myself in the Lord? I'm encouraged by the Lord, right? Um, I am gonna go through dare number 10, but I just want to chat tonight just a little bit. We're going to talk about Dare 11. But I think one of the things that is important for me to ask you is, are you committed to what you're doing? Right? Are you committed to this 40 days? Forget the 40 days. Are you committed to your spouse? I mean, are you 100% committed? Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, all of it. I'm committed to this thing. That I stood before God and I took these vows and I said, you know what? Forever. Are we committed to that? Or is your spouse disposable? That becomes the question that only we can answer. Is my spouse disposable? Is my marriage disposable? Can I just put it to the side when things don't go my way? Can I just put it to the side when it does not work out the way that I think it should work out? Listen to me. Listen to me. The biggest failure in my life was always the failure of my marriage. And it's like, why did that happen, Shakima? And I know the answer. The answer is two imperfect people married each other for the wrong reasons. But when we got married, we did not have a solid, this is it for me forever. We're going to work it out. And I lived in a lot of shame and a lot of guilt for a lot of years, not now. A lot of shame and a lot of guilt over the fact that here I am, for all intents and purposes, and for all the people who know me, just about all the people, I won't make it an absolute, but most of the people who know me, and they tell me all these great things about me. My character is good. I'm going to make somebody a great wife. I'm going to do all these wonderful things in my life, but I couldn't make my marriage work. Because in my way back mind, not in my upfront mind, because your upfront mind can tell you anything, but where it really counts, way back here in my way back mind, it was disposable. When he stopped doing the things I needed done, he was disposable. And when I stopped doing the things he needed done, I was disposable. And I promise you, unless you have the Lord and Holy Spirit to walk you through those steps, I'd much rather give it my all right now. Divorce is not easy. I don't care what anybody says. You don't have to see them. You ain't got to sleep with them. You ain't got to be around them, but you still have residue. You got residual from having somebody in the house. I don't want him here, but where he at when he ain't here? She really don't do all the things I wanted to do, but I don't know who I am without her. Listen, is your marriage disposable? Have you set it in your mind? And you're the only person that can make that. You're the only person that can make that choice. So as I'm sitting here, all up in my fields, me and the Lord, we working on some things over here, because I really honestly don't want that to be anybody else's testimony. I know that life is so very challenging. It's why I do these challenges. It's why I do this challenge. There's a ton of things I could be out here doing, but this is important to me because, again, I'm selfish. What I'm sowing into your marriage is I'm praying to reap into my marriage when the Lord sends my husband. I know that's very selfish. I want to see your marriage do well. I want to hear the testimonies. If something is going good, email me just so I can know. I just want to know that things are going well for you in your marriage. Praise the Lord, y'all. Tell me where you're chiming in from. Hey, Miss Charlie. Hey, Miss Carla. Hey, Miss Sue. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Miss Wanda. Hey, Miss Krista. Good to see everybody. For all of you who don't chime in or you're just silent partners, praise the Lord. We're glad to have you as well. This is the 40-day love challenge, Love Dare challenge, and we are working our way slowly through. We're finally into double-digit days. So today is day 10, or was day 10 from Louisiana. All right, very nice. Today is day 10, and again, only you can determine how this is going to go. And I kept thinking earlier, I was thinking to myself, because I had some time, I sat down and I thought, okay, what do I need to do today? I was off today, and I thought, what do I need to do in prep for tonight? And so I had written down all the scriptures from the marriage evaluation, and today from Sacramento. Well, all righty then. And I sat down and I wrote out all the scriptures from all the days. Why? Just because I needed to write down scriptures. Hey, Dana from Virginia. No, but because I want to go back and I want to read those scriptures, right? I want to read the scriptures every day, whatever day I'm on. Day 10 was acceptance. Let me go to acceptance and read Colossians 3:12 and 13. Let me go to Proverbs 17:9. Today is an acceptance day. Let me read the scriptures that talk about let me get the scriptures that talk about accepting my spouse for who they are, right? The one that talks about perfect love, the one that talks about encourage each other and build each other up. When I'm going through the days, right? When I'm reading through and I'm highlighting and doing all the things, y'all, I highlight my book. I write a lot of stuff in my book. I write a lot of things because I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. And then I want to be able to go through and do the scriptures, to read the scriptures, to go back over. Because for me, this next go round, this final go round, I can't even say the next go round. You got to get your words right. From Florida, hey y'all. For this final go round, I don't want to miss it. Does that mean I'm going to be perfect in my marriage? Of course not. But I'm going to do my best. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to give it my best. Okay. Day 10. Here was your dare for day 10. Do something out of the ordinary today for your spouse. Something that proves to you and them that your love is based on your choice and nothing else. Did anybody get a chance to do today's dare? Anybody get a chance to do today's dare? Anybody get a chance to do today's dare? And if you did, what was the response? What was the response to your something out of the ordinary? Not the ordinary things that you would always do, not the things that you would normally do, not the cooking dinner, the washing the clothes. I mean, we always do those types of things. If your husband sends his clothing over to the dry cleaner and you picked it up, you don't normally do it, but you picked it up and you made sure that it was in his closet. If you don't normally do his laundry and he's okay with you doing it, maybe you did that today. Something out of the ordinary. Anybody? Any brave souls out there? Oh, y'all not brave tonight? Okay, no worries. This is between you and them. You don't have to share that. It's perfectly fine. But again, I just really want to make sure that we are doing the things, because it honestly makes no sense for us to come here every night for 40 nights. Just listen to me talk. I mean, I appreciate that. Helps the views on the channel and all that. Helps all that. But if we don't do the things, implement the things, it's all for naught, right? So I was asking myself earlier, why do you keep doing this? This is copyrighted 2013. It's 2024. So I'm 11 years in. The original copyright date was 2008. Then they revised it in 2013. So I am, 2008, 16, 13 to 16 years. This is old. Why do I keep coming back to it? And the Lord brought to my mind, he said, but the Bible's old and we should keep going back to that, right? Some things you don't have to just throw out. Oh, that was good. I read that. Okay, well, next. No, sometimes you got to do things over and 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 over again before you finally get it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I had a book sitting on my shelf. It was a book on prayer. And it was written by Cindy Jacobs. I had that book on my shelf for 10 years before I ever opened it the very first time. And I read that book and I read it multiple times. It wasn't the time then to read it when I first got it, but 10 years in, it was time. Oh, well, that's lovely. Look at Miss Carla. That's awesome. She said with the weather, because she lives in uh, one of those cold places where they have a lot of weather up there. It says, with all the bad weather, I called after he was at work just to make sure he was okay and that he made it there okay. He sounded shocked and grateful that I was worried. Now look at that. Now look at God. Come on now. See, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be just packing his lunch. Maybe you slipped a little love note in his lunchbox, right? Just a little something. See, that's a whole thing. She says, I don't usually call him at work. Now, listen, if you want to totally throw your spouse off kilter, start doing stuff you don't normally do. They're going to be like, what's going on here? I better watch, sleep with one eye open, not knowing that you're, trying to make love to their heart, right? That's not exactly, we don't really know. Come on through, girl. Come on. Look at my girl, Ashandria. She said, I cleaned out my husband's truck. He usually cleans all the vehicles, but I did his today. Yay! Way to go. Very good. It does not diminish who they are. It doesn't diminish their role. It just says, hey, I'm thinking about you. I want you to feel esteemed today. Let me serve you. One of the things about marriage that we all have to understand is we need to outserve each other. Jesus said, I came to serve, not to be served. And if we're all in the likeness, created in the likeness and image of Jesus, should we not be serving those we love? Everything we do is service. A lot of people talk about Saturday suppers because I share that quite a bit on the channel. And they say, hey, you do that. That's so great. It's a service for me. It's a way to serve my family. It's a way to serve my community. It's a way to serve people that I know who need family and community. We love it. I love to cook. I love to entertain. I love to have people in my home, but I do it as a service, not like, oh God, I got to do this week. Oh God, it's not drudgery for me. My kids and I'm teaching them how to serve other people. We went to every Christmas Eve, we go to my pastor's house. We've done it for 12, 13 years, I guess, almost as long as I've been divorced, because we actually started doing it when I was newly divorced. And there's about 5 families or so that get together and we do a gift exchange with those families. And my son, who loves culinary arts, we had to take, we took salad fixings, I took some dessert stuffs, and we took garlic bread. Now, Jackson was going to make the garlic bread, but we ran out of time, so we just stopped and picked some up. So we cooked it when we got there, and he did it all. I didn't have to jump in the kitchen and do anything. Oh, hey, Miss Wanda. So you can find this on Amazon. It's called the Love Dare, or you can type into Google the Love Dare PDF, and you should be able to find it online, the full and complete book. That's where I found it on days that I've left my book at home and I needed to get some reading done when I wasn't at home. And so that's where you can find it. But Jackson did all the things, and I didn't have to do anything. And later, my pastor went up to him and he said, I appreciate how you jumped in here and served tonight, Jackson. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have to acknowledge him. He didn't have to say anything to him. But somebody else acknowledged that, sir. He's 14 years old. There were people there his age. He could have very well left the kitchen to the grown folk and went and did something else with the kids. But he said, no, I'm jumping in. It's what he knows. So we're teaching service. Again, when we serve our spouse, our children, if we still have children in the home, get to see service, and they serve. They don't get it confused with being a doormat and having to do everything, but they do see service, and they should see service one to another. That's what we should be showing our children. I served him, he serves me. Okay. Day 11 is love cherishes. Ephesians 5:28 says, and this is an affirmation day. So day 28 is an affirmation day. I wrote down all my affirmation scriptures in 2 translations. Husbands ought also to love their wives as their own bodies. That's Ephesians 5:2. Cherish means to protect or care for someone lovingly. to adore or to treasure. Do you adore your spouse? Do you treasure your spouse? Are they a gift of God to you? Are they a gift from God to you? Do you see them that way? My husband is a gift. He is an absolute gift to my life. He is an absolute addition, a treasure in whom I take so much pride and I care for so well. And he hasn't even gotten here yet. You understand what I'm saying to you? Okay, so I was thinking about this. Remember the story in the Bible where the man found a treasure in a field? And what did he do? He went and bought the field. He didn't just go get the treasure out of the field. He bought the field that the treasure was in because he valued the treasure so much. He just bought everything surrounding this treasure. Is your spouse, husband or wife, depending on who's watching, is your spouse a treasure to you? I know they get on your nerve. I know they don't always see eye to eye with each other. I know sometimes their decisions are not what you would have done, but are they still a treasure to you? I see so many people getting married later and later and later in life, and I wonder if their perception of marriage, their thought pattern around marriage is different. Again, because we're not in struggle love. When I got married at 19, there was nothing but struggle. At 47, soon to be 48, in about 3 weeks. I think my birthday's in 3 weeks. I never celebrate, so I don't even know what it is. I mean, I know what it is. It's coming, but I don't have a birthday month. I don't have a birthday week. I just have a birthday day, and it's coming. But at soon to be 48 years old, I think the pressures of life are not on my shoulders anymore. So I don't have to, I have the ability to cherish my spouse at this point because I'm not trying to survive. I'm not trying to make it through. We're not trying to put food on the table. We're not trying to make sure the bills are paid. At the later stage of life, or it should be at the later stage of life, where I really can, when we say love and to cherish, do we know what that means? It says to protect or care for lovingly. In this chapter, in this particular section, he talked about the two scenarios, the car and the hand. He says you have an older man who has a car, a man who has an older car. When they do the evaluation on the car, it's going to cost him a lot of money to repair it. And he said it was just cheaper for him, in his mind, to go buy a new car. We would throw away the old car. We'll go buy a new car. He says in another scenario, an engineer accidentally crushes his hand in a machine. After they do all the tests, he decides that it's worth it to do surgery on the hand and slowly nurse the hand back to health so that he still has activity of the hand, right? He didn't just throw it away. Which one is your marriage? Is it the old car that you like, listen, I need a new one of these every 5 years. I need a new one of these every 3 months. Because in some places, divorce is very easy to get. Here in North Carolina, it is not so. It's not so. You have to be separated for 1 year before you can even file for divorce. And in that 1 year, that is for the sole purpose of reconciliation. Hey, everybody. I'm glad that you all are here. The sole purpose in North Carolina for that 1 year of being separated is for reconciliation, to try to work it out. Because sometimes in the heat of the moment, we make decisions, and those rash decisions lead to choices that we may regret later. So let me give you time to think about it. But in other places, you can go immediately and get everything squared away real quick. We don't have to wait. We don't have to do nothing. I am done with this. So think about that. He says the problem within our culture, I'm on page 51 if anybody is following along. The problem within our culture is that marriage is more often treated like the first scenario. It's discardable. I can get another one of these, right? Can't you? Remember what I've told the story. You may not have heard it. Some of you are just following me for the first time or just recently. When I got divorced, I knew in my head of heads, right here in my front mind, not in my way back mind, but right up here. I knew I was going to be married by the next year. I knew I was going to find a man and I was going to be married by the next year. It has since been 14 years. And I think I lied the other night. I said I've only dated one person, but I have been on a date You see how 1, 2, twice. Not a lot of times in 14 years, right? And I don't even count some of these people because they were just jokers. Y'all, listen, it's foolishness out here. Can I tell y'all a real story? I'm gonna tell y'all a real story. Now, don't charge me this because I did not come up with this individual. Somebody introduced me to this individual. And when I'm coming back to Cherish, but I gotta tell y'all, it's not easy out here in these streets, okay? So somebody introduced me to an individual. They shared my number. They said, hey, I know somebody that you really would like. Give her a call. And they told me, they said, hey, I met somebody. I gave them your number. I hope it's okay. Hey. I can say this. At the time, the question is, I'll come back to my story in a minute. Did you feel like you married the right one the first time? At the time, yes. But now that I'm in my back mind, right? Now that I'm in my right mind, I realized that I married a person out of my hurt, shame, my experience. I married a person who knew my story and didn't care. He knew about the abuse. He knew about my daughter. He knew about my alcoholic family. He didn't care about any of that. And so I thought because he didn't care about it, he cared about me. I didn't realize that he was running from his own stuff. It was 12 odd, 13 odd years before I knew any of that. It's closer to the 18-year mark before I knew any of his stuff at all, right? Because he didn't tell me anything, nothing. I am opening mouth telling all the things. I didn't know anything. And I was like, oh my word. Because the truth of the matter is, he only needed to tell me one thing, and I never would have married him. But he didn't tell me that. He saw the hurt, he saw the vulnerability, and he was like, hey, we can hide each other. Right? Again, I didn't know that. He was much older than I was. He was 8 years older than I was. I got married at 19. He was 8 years older. I didn't know that. We were in 2 different decades, right? I always wanted to be married. He never wanted to be married. But, right? Oh my. Oh gosh. Sometimes adversity and things like that will help you see. Sometimes going through stuff with your spouse for years and years will help you understand. And I won't tell anybody this, that we could not have made it work. I do believe that God can restore, that he can redeem. I think he can come and work in any situation. But at that moment, he didn't want any parts of God. And I wasn't going to be a part of any of that. I had made my choice. I told him, I think this is about year 10. This is about year 10, y'all. I said, we going to either be good Christians or good heathens, but can you make a choice? Because I'm not going to play with you. And I'm not playing with the Lord anymore. He never made a choice. So I chose. I was going to be a good Christian, and that was going to be my life. And that was my life. That has been my life. I left it up to him. And if he said we were going to be good heathens, honey, I would have been the best heathen that there ever was to be. I'm telling you. But he never made a decision. So I chose for me and my little kids I had at the time. I said, I'm going to be a good Christian. I'm going to serve God. It's what I know in my heart to do. I'm doing it. So I don't know that I believe that if we both had been serving God, we could have made it work. But that was as far away from his mind as anything at that point. And I just wasn't ready I just didn't want to continue that struggle. I didn't feel like I was living my best years. I feel like I'm living my best years now. Whoever gets me now is going to get the very best I have to give. I've dealt with my childhood issues. I've dealt with my family. I've dealt with the abuse. I've dealt with my daughter. I've dealt with her father. I've dealt with all of that. I've dealt with the divorce. I've dealt with the residual effects of that. My children have dealt with it. Some of them probably still have things they got to work through and sort through to get their own understanding. But I've dealt with my stuff. And so I've unpacked those bags. And now I'm in a situation where my marriage, my final will not be disposable to me. I'm not going to marry somebody that I feel like I can throw away or discard. Again, at this stage of life, I'm asking different questions. I need different questions. And a lot of people kind of get angry when you say, you don't need a man. Well, that's not what I'm saying. I don't, but I don't need a man to pay my bills, right? You see that for anybody to think at 47 years old that I need somebody to pay my bills has wrong thinking, because the Lord has given me a job that that supports my family where we currently are in this life. Anybody he adds to me, we should not be scraping by trying to pay the mortgage. If we have 2 homes, we now go to 1 home. That means overhead expenses from one place has now been dumped into this, from that home has now been dumped into this together home. And here we are. So we should already be multiplied, right? So it's different. What I need is different. I don't need a person to pay the light bill. We lit. We lit up. I got 3 of them going at one time. We lit. That's different. What I need at this age is way different than what I needed at 19. So people hear that and they get all up in their feelings. Well, I would hope that a man doesn't need me to come clean his house or need me to cook his meals. Aren't you cooking yourself? I mean, you're eating some kind of way. You don't look poorly. Okay. Miss Carla said, absolutely, Miss Sherry or Cherie. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but now we're ready for someone who is a partnership. I was going to read the word bond because he talks about bond in here, but it says, my first husband gave me a choice, my God or him. It was the quickest but hardest choice I ever had to make. And here's the truth, because I had to make that decision as well. It was out of pure love that I let my husband leave. He walked out on us. That was his choice. I could not wrap my arms around his leg and make him stay. I felt like it was the greater love that I had for him to let him go and be free with himself. Do whatever you need to do, because clearly we are holding you down. And I would not do that to any person. I don't care who they are. I'm not holding you here if this is not where you want to be. But if this is where you choose, then what are we going to do to keep this thing together? He said, when your relationship experiences difficulty, are you urged to dump your spouse for a newer model? But those who have this view do not understand the significant bond between a husband and wife. A bond is a relationship between people based on shared feelings, interests, or experiences. Similar words to bond are friendship, relationship, fellowship, partnership. I'm in this thing to partner with you. There is no way in the world I would say to a man that, oh, now that you're here, I'm going to stop working so you can foot all the bills. If my husband doesn't want me to work, then I would ask him, if he has debt, I'm debt free. If he has debt, I would say to him, I understand what you're saying, but would you please allow me to work for a year and allow my salary that I currently bring in to pay off the debt that you owe? You pay all the bills. If you got to feel like you the man and pay the bills, pay them all. But let me take this money and sow it into our collective bottom line. Because if I accept him, I get whatever he got. He accepts me, he gets whatever I got. I took these years, these last 8 years for sure, to get my bottom line to a better place. Do I have all the money in the world? Absolutely not. Do I have all the investments in the world? Absolutely not. But that's the next thing on the list, right? To start investing heavily. I do have 401k, I do have retirement, all that. But more than that, so that when he comes here, he sees, wow, this woman has really worked on some stuff. I don't have bad relationships with my ex-husband. He's not going to have to come in and save me from the bad ex-husband. We don't have all that. I don't have toxic relationships with my children. I'm not paying their bills. They're not paying mine. They don't run my household. I don't run theirs. You know what I'm saying? So you got to at this late stage, it's very different. But even if you've been in it with your spouse from the early stages, you get to determine this latter half. The Bible says that my latter days shall be greater than my former days. So if I'm looking at everything that with my natural eye, what I can see now, I don't see anything other than better, because I know what bad was. I'm going from bad to better. This is the only option. It's only up from here. But I have to make a choice that I'm coming into partnership with you and I want to be with you. I'm cherishing you. In here, he talks about, he does get to a point where he talks about the person's body. He said, do you, he says, marriage is a beautiful mystery created by God, joining two lives together as one. This not only happens physically, but spiritually and emotionally, and the two become one. So a lot of times we always think, I'm going to hurt him by saying this, or I'm going to hurt her by bringing up her past, so I'm going to do this. But we never think about the fact that when you hurt, I hurt, or that's how it should be, because the two shall become one. If I'm hurting you, I'm hurting me. Because everything about you I love, and everything about you I cherish. So when you're hurt, I'm hurt. If you lose a parent and you're grieving, I'm grieving. I can attest to my ex-husband's character, right? It wasn't that he's a bad person. We were just the wrong people for each other. That is the truth. But when my mother passed away, my mother passed away in 19. My mother passed away in 19. We got divorced in 10. 9 years we had been divorced. My mother passed away, and he's an over-the-road trucker. He brought his truck to where his family lives, because it was close to where we were doing the funeral for my mom, about 3 hours from where I live. He parked his truck, went to his family's house, and his family came to the funeral. He sat in the third row right behind my aunts and uncles, and was there, helped me do stuff, helped me clean up after everybody left, all the things that we needed to do. That's a person who still cares about you. We're not in love. We don't love each other in that regard. There's no togetherness. He's remarried, and praise God for her, because it's not my problem anymore. Thank God. But there's still a care and a concern. We have children together. So again, he felt my pain when his parents passed, if they passed before either of us. Because I have children, I'll be there with my children to support my children, to support the family, right? So it says, Ephesians 5:28-29, husbands ought also to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his own wife loves himself, for no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it. You've got to make warm. Cherish also means to make warm. Does your husband feel warm and cozy when you're with him? Do you feel warm and cozy when you're with your man or your woman? Because I don't know who's watching. I always see the ladies chime in, but I knew sometimes men do watch. But do you feel warm and cozy? And again, love is not a feeling. Love is a choice. But you can be in love every day. You can be in love and not love something they did. Doesn't change who they are as a person. That was just a bad decision. Okay? It says, it is our responsibility above every other person on the face of the earth to step in and tenderly touch, caress, and warm the life and heart of our spouse. Do you do that? Do you have secret little touches, handholds? Do your children see that? How will your children ever know how to physically love their spouse? Now, we're not talking about the adultness things, not behind the closed doors, but some of us never saw physical touch in our home. My grandparents were old when I went to live with them. My grandmother she did not want my grandfather to touch her. I think she was very shy because they were old. Old people don't do that kind of stuff. I think she loved my grandfather, but he was never allowed to touch her in public. I never saw him kiss her. I never saw him, he might pat her on the behind every now and then, but she would get real mad with him. Like, what are you doing? But aren't you supposed to show those things so that we know as women what love should look like, and men how we should be treated, or how you should treat somebody? I think you should. Okay. I'm not going to talk any further. I've been talking quite a lot. This was good. I'm going to say this. He says, nourish them with the warmth of your affection. Remember, when you show love to your spouse, you're showing love to yourself. Okay. It's time to let love change your thinking. It's time for you to realize that your spouse is as much a part of your hand, your eye, or your heart. She too needs to be loved and cherished. And if she has brokenness and issues causing pain or frustration, then you should nourish and cherish her with the same love and tenderness as you would a bodily injury, right? So if she's broken on the inside, is it not your responsibility to come in and pour in oil and wine? Is it not your responsibility to come in to remove the scab, to get all the infection and the pus out of the wound? If we had a physical wound and we only had our spouse to change the dressing, would we not allow them, as hurtful as it is? I don't want to go through that pain again that I lived when I was a child, for all the things that people did to me. But your husband, your wife can come in and say, listen, let me help you. Let me help you dress this. Let me take this dressing, this scab off. I know that it hurts you, but I want to take it off. And I know this, going through this, digging it out, pushing all the pus out is going to hurt right now. But I promise you, you're going to feel better when we get rid of this. And then they put on the antiseptic and the antibiotic cream, and they wrap it up lovingly, right? And they say, hey, I'll be here to do the same thing again tomorrow. Right? My grandmother was burned more than 50% of her body. One Easter Sunday, we were doing Easter eggs on the stove. And I remember my grandmother was drunk, and she came in the kitchen raising all kind of cane like she normally did. And she bumped the pot off the stove, and it burned her. Can you imagine being drunk out of your mind and burned 50% of your body? And what they had to do to heal her. She had to, first of all, go through all of the scrapings of getting all the burned tissue. She had second and third degree burns all over her body. And then the skin grafts. And you could see where they had taken skin off of her and put it on her to cover up the burns. But my grandfather was there every day. He was there through all of that. He was home taking care of the kids, but he was with his wife. It's just like that. Do you take pleasure in who they are? Do you enjoy their body? One of the biggest things that I struggled with in my marriage was being heavy. I wasn't heavy when we started dating, but over the years, because my thought process was, I already have the husband. What do I need to take care of my body for now? Or I was still dealing with a lot of that trauma. So if I was fat, nobody would want to hurt me. That was things I would tell myself, self-talk. And it was like, I didn't realize that there were things about my body he didn't love, because I was twice the size of when we first started dating, right? It was very challenging to think about that after the fact. Each baby, I gained weight. Gained a little bit more, And I want to be, I want to do adult things, and now I'm uncomfortable, and I can't do this and I can't do that. And I'm definitely not doing that either, because I'm too big for all of that. Right? But do you cherish who she is? My other grandmother, my dad's mother, if my grandmother was 800 pounds, she was a pound. I mean, she was a big girl, a big woman. And my grandfather, 130, 40 pounds, if that. God knows, if a wind came stiff, he'd have blew her. And my grandfather loved every bit of my grandmother. He loved her, 5 children worth. He loved her, 5 children, and she was big the whole time. He loved everything about her. Do you love everything about them? Do you love the way they smell? Do you love just the when they're in the house? You can discern Everything about your spidey senses start tingling when they show up. Those are the questions you have to answer about yourself and your spouse, because that's how it should be. Whatever your physical is, if we're not in physical shape together, why don't we, physical shape, why don't we do it together? Dr. Miles Monroe, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, he said, you never tell your wife she don't look good or that she's fat. Why don't you say, hey, baby, let's walk together? So one of the best things happened to my family, my kids and I today. We've been doing a 75 soft challenge, which is 75 days of exercise, activity, all those things. And I had a particular brand reach out to me and ask me if we could collaborate together. And I said, absolutely, we can. But my children and I are doing a health challenge together. And I will collaborate with you if you send me 3 of the thing you want me to show on my channel. And so today, all of myself and my kids, we got new smartwatches so that we all can work out together, right? Maybe it's not that you want to say, ooh, girl, you've been putting on a lot of weight. Ooh, you so fat. I mean, I have heard that furniture must hurt because you're so big. But you could say, hey, babe, I'm going to start walking for 20 minutes a day. And I really just thought, hey, you want to walk with me? Really don't feel comfortable in the neighborhood by myself for just 20 minutes. Maybe they don't have an hour. Some people don't have an hour, but 20 minutes. And that 20 minutes is time to talk. It's time to debrief. It's time to share life. It's enough time to get your heart pumping, to get your body moving, and to perhaps see some differences and some changes. I know I posted a picture yesterday from 6 years ago versus, it was Sunday, yesterday, from 6 years ago versus today, which was yesterday. The changes is crazy. But I thought I was good. But 6 years before that, I was 250 pounds. I mean, when I tell people I was 250 pounds, they do not believe me. Trust me. Okay. Here's your dare for day 11. This is for tomorrow. How can you warm the heart of your spouse today? Look for opportunities to bring warmth to the coldness in his or her life. If possible, give them an unexpected tender touch. Choose a gesture that just says, I cherish you, and do it with sincerity. So tomorrow, you're going to do something that warms the heart of your spouse. Maybe this is a touching thing. This was an affirmation day. Perhaps it's a text that says, I choose you. I choose you today. Have a great day. Love you. You know what I'm saying? I got all these great ideas and I don't even have a man, y'all. I'm so, sometimes I'm like, but Shakima, when you really get one, you're going to be so shy, you ain't going to act right. I'm going to act right. I'm going to act right. I promise I'm going to act right. But I got all these ideas in my head and I'm like, oh, Jesus, just send him on, God. Okay, praise the Lord. So you get to decide what you're doing tomorrow that's going to warm the heart of your spouse. Some days I'll go through all of, I'll read a lot more than I do. Other days, I just want to chat and talk, just kind of work our ways through it. But you all have to, you gotta put skin in the game. Your skin is to go in and to read and to write and to highlight and to get your scriptures. And it's up to you. I don't know what your man or your woman like. You do. And if you don't, just listen to them tell you. Just listen to them talk long enough. Honey, if they want a spoon, just lay down. Just come on over here, wrap me up. Just let's spoon. I don't know. I don't even know what people do these days. But whatever. If it's just a touching of the leg while you're sitting on the couch, who's to say? If it's holding hands during the meal to pray, right? I know I have put men off. Okay, I sound like I've been out a lot of times. I haven't been out a lot of times, but I'll go out with people. I have been out. I don't go out a lot, y'all. I don't want it to sound like I'm over here dating because I'm open to date, but I haven't been on a date. But anyway, we'll go out to a meal. And when the meal comes, I'll reach out. And a lot of men are like, what you doing? I want to just connect with you in prayer. I mean, I pray, but I'm going to let you do it. And some people don't know how to handle that, right? So it is what it is. It does what it does. And you got to put in some effort. Now, again, they may not respond. They may not reciprocate. They may look at you real crazy. That is okay. This is not about them. They are going to get the residual effects, but this is about you. We're changing our heart towards them, that prayerfully will change their heart towards what we're doing here as a collective, right? Okay. All right. 45 minutes. I got to get my exercise in because that's the last part of my 75 soft challenge. Got to do my 20 minutes. I'm going to jump on the bike. I love you guys. I'm proud of you. Those of you who have made it into the 10 days. Day 11. We're on the downswing now, y'all. We can do this. We got this. We go all the way up until February the 14th, which is Love Day. I'm over here sporting my love shirt because love is in the air for somebody. For me too. Okay. I love all y'all. You be blessed. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.